everybody. Welcome to our favorite part of the week. It's Ad Age's Creativity Top 5 Live. I'm Anne Christine Diaz, Creativity Editor, coming to you from Los Angeles. And I'm here with...
I'm Alexandra Jardine, Associate Creativity Editor, and I'm coming to you from London.
And I'm Ishan Sherwood, Associate Creativity Editor, coming to you from New York.
Thank you all for joining us. Please make sure to tell us who you are and where you're watching from in the comments, and we will give you a shout out. Before we kick it off, I just wanted to remind you guys, all you young creatives and young creative marketers out there, that our Young Creatives Cover Competition is now open for submissions. So any of you guys who have great ideas for what Ad Age's cover should look like for our June Can issue, please submit. I don't know if we could pull up last year's winner. Max in the back. Oh, there it is. And that was last year's winner. We had asked creatives to conceive an idea that showed how creativity fueled us through the pandemic and beyond. And that was our winner from the Philippines. And this year, our brief to young creatives is imagine what Ad Age's cover will look like 10 years from now. So check out the link that we'll throw up a bit later. And the deadline is April 15th. So submit your ideas, please. So anyway, I've been on vacation all week, pretty much. I'm kind of still on vacation, but I couldn't resist staying away from Top 5. So I'm kind of a little bit out of it. So Alex, you want to kick off our countdown this week?
Sure, yeah. So at number 5 this week, we have Burger King. This is a campaign from Spain by David Madrid. They are appealing to basketball fans in a video game, the game NBA 2K21. They have turned the court into a menu where people can score to win free food. So people need to stand on designated points on the court to win different items. And the harder the shot, the bigger the prize. So if you shoot and score from the middle, you get a full meal with soda and fries. And there's also a streaming element. They are being supported by some well-known Spanish gamers who are talking about it on Twitch and YouTube. I don't know if we can take a quick look at that there.
Stop that. I hear them chatting the noise, move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear them chat with the boys, man so tough, but mans keep walking. Just too sharp with the prize, white girls let it tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan, if you wanna touch my please use caution. Cold like 0 degrees, I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary guy, let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the. Wake up, get out the sheets. We came for one man, forget my peace. We take the west side, take on the east. I'ma put him in the cage, never let out the. I hear him chatting the noise, move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys, not so tough, but let's keep talking. Just too sharp for the prize, like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch me, please use caution.
Yet another out-of-the-box idea from Burger King, right? I really love what they did with this in terms of bringing the brand into the video game or a video game. It's, not just a sign in the background. It's incorporating the brand itself into gameplay and rewarding players with free food.
Yeah. Our video producer, Max, though, did mention there's a missed opportunity here. They could have called it the food court, but instead it's the menu court. But fine, that's okay. I also wonder, do they know that gamers are the type of people who will do the same thing over and over and over again until they succeed and will also do anything for free food? I really hope they budgeted enough free food for the amount that they're going to need to give away from this.
Oh, right. It could be a whole other chicken sandwich catastrophe if they don't stock enough food. But yeah, another fantastic idea from Burger. Wait, is somebody at the door? EJ!
Hey! Did you bring us any food?
Yeah, you're here with the Whoppers, right?
There's a value meal on the way. Maybe it'll get here before the end of the show.
Welcome to our news editor, EJ Schultz. He's joining us this week because there's actually been a lot of big news this week, right? And speaking of Burger King, I think probably one of the biggest stories of the week happened yesterday. Can you tell us about that, EJ?
Yeah, there are not many bigger names when it comes to CMOs than Fernando Machado, and he confirmed yesterday afternoon that he's actually leaving Burger King's parent company, Restaurant Brands International, which is where his star really rose, and with all kinds of campaigns that Anne-Christine and Alex and each of you guys have all written about for years. We could go down the list, but of course, Moldy Whopper comes to mind, a ton of stuff. And so he's leaving, and he's not confirmed where he's going. He started Burger King in 2014, and then he was promoted up to the Restaurant Brands International parent company after that. And so I think it's one, CMOs change jobs all the time. It's usually not huge news, but this one is, just because he's probably one of the most high profile marketers out there.
Did anyone else take a double take because the news came out yesterday on April 1st?
Fernando, is this just another big prank?
What if this is Restaurant Brands prank on Fernando?
Yeah. But I wonder, like wherever he goes, it's going to have to be a very special company to allow him to do the amazing things he did at Burger King. He was a very smart marketer, but also I feel like a lot of the things he did, he operated from his gut. It was very instinctual of the moment. So it is going to take a very special company to leverage that talent, and one that gives him that freedom. So I'm excited to see where he goes next, and if he's able to have as much cultural impact at that brand, whatever it is, or who knows?
Yeah, one way to look at it.
Real estate. I don't know.
He's done what more can he do at Burger King? And you're right, not everything has been like a fantastic hit, right? He's taken a lot of chances. Not all of them have worked. Yeah. We had the International Women's Day thing that happened recently, that kind of blew up in their face. But I feel like it's these high profile jobs. Sometimes you kind of got to stay ahead of the wave, right? And when you've kind of done most of what you can achieve at a place, maybe it's time to move on and get a fresh start somewhere else.
So in terms of Burger King, though, who's taking over?
Paloma Azulay. So she was she was leading Popeyes, kind of like his right-hand person. And so she's stepping up, and I'm interested to see if she brings that same sort of excitement in her new role, or is she going to bring her a whole new thing to RBI?
Yeah, I think we always see that when a new CMO comes in, they want to put their stamp on the brand in some manner, whether that's agency reviews or whether that's sort of shifting the creative. But Anne-Christine, like you say, she was running Popeyes, and Popeyes, the tone is adjacent to what Burger King has been doing, right? So, maybe that's one of the reasons she's in the position. And then maybe that also signals that it won't change wholesale, and the fun and quirkiness and experimentalism is still going to stick around.
Yes.
Yeah, let's hope so. I mean, he's definitely going out on a high, though, isn't he? I mean, he's done all that he can do. Leave while the going is good.
Yeah. Oh, so we have some shout outs. We have Abigail from North Carolina, Eduardo from Peru, Rashid from Beirut, Mikhail from Helsinki, Mira from Georgia, Yua from Nigeria, David from Pennsylvania, and Tao from Vietnam. Hey guys, thanks for joining us.
Hey. And if you like what we are doing here on Top 5, you're interested, you want to comment, let us know what you think of the work, and please subscribe, share, or retweet this post.
And next up, we have another campaign from Tide. So Tide, we all know, is a very creative marketer. It's excited us with the George Costanza sweatshirt Super Bowl ad or Super Bowl integrated campaign. But now it's looking to help the environment. Can we take a look at the film? One of the films.
This is Annie.
Annie Murphy. We're calling to get you to turn to cold washing with Tide.
Unsubscribe.
Wait. This helps the environment.
And saves you money?
Oh, the environment. Yeah. With the trees and the shrubs. How much money?
$100 a year on your energy bill. It's like getting paid for doing nothing.
I will take that money. for the environment.
So this campaign is really interesting. I mean, just in time for Earth Day, and to support Planet Earth, Tide and P&G have launched an initiative, and they're encouraging consumers to basically just use cold water. The campaign is called Turn to Cold Water, and they're not pitching a specific product. They're pitching a behavior, and they're promoting it with personalities like Ice-T and Stone Cold Steve Austin, people whose names kind of refer to the whole cold thing, and telling people just use cold water. And from research that they did, they found that you could save up to $100 a year if you use cold water instead of warm water. And Tide even went so far as to change the labels on its packaging, its logo. They've added a snowflake to the logo, so it's really interesting. It's part of a 10-year push. A lot of big companies are promoting environmentalism with these long-standing promises to improve their practices or internal practices. And Tide is doing the same, and they're putting a whole push behind this. And it's a really interesting way of approaching it. It's not just, okay, this is what we're doing for the environment. They're creating messaging around it. They're changing logos. So I thought this was a fantastic idea from Saatchi and Saatchi, which is part of the Woven group. So what do you guys think?
I mean, so if you look at the kinds of initiatives that brands have that they say, are good for the environment, this is one that actually is. I mean, I'll tell you, pretty much any detergent works fine on cold. It's better for your clothes. Your clothes will last longer, and you'll save money. So like, it's a win-win. And if everyone did wash most of their clothes on cold, then there would be substantial greenhouse gas emission savings. So I like that, Tide sort of seems in this instance to be like taking an action that people should be doing anyway, and then sort of moving the Tide branding over to be like, oh, also we're really good at that. So you should do this, and then you should use us when you do it. But people using Tide or not, it's not like they're trying to position Tide as doing something that doesn't necessarily already do, right?
Yeah, but it's interesting because it is kind of a subtle product push as well, because Tide is saying that its product works better in cold. I mean, my fear is if I wash my kids' clothes in cold, they're still gonna smell a little funny anyway, or they won't be fully clean. But Tide is saying, well, our detergent works better in cold. It's better for the environment. So
yeah, this is the thing. I mean, with this whole issue, it's like all these marketers have been telling us for years that their product gets our clothes cleaner. That's been the product message for like as long as I can remember. And now suddenly it's like, oh, well, but it gets your clothes cleaner and you don't have to wash it hot like you've always been told. So I think it has got to be a really long-term message to get that across. And that's why I thought it was quite, the ad with Annie Murphy is quite a good one, because you've got this kind of person who's known for, this character known for being quite self-centered. So you've got to try and appeal to those people as well, who just really care about their clothes looking nice and maybe not so much about the environment.
Yeah. To me, it kind of fits a trend too. Brands, you got to figure out how you're doing your environmental messaging and not look too preachy. And I think this, in a way, reminds me a little bit of that Core Seltzer campaign, where all they were saying is, hey, go buy some Core Seltzer and we'll make a donation or something to help save rivers. And it's like, okay, yeah, I can drink some alcohol and feel like I'm an environmentalist. All this is asking me to do is wash my clothes in cold water. No one's saying you need to go out and plant 10 trees this afternoon or something like that. It's kind of like environmentalism for lazy people in a sense.
Yeah. Just don't turn the knob, or don't press the hot button. That's all.
And I will say the only good thing to happen after Schitt's Creek ended is seeing Dan Levy and Annie Murphy like in every commercial. So I'm really happy. Although, are you telling me that Vanilla Ice wasn't available? Okay.
Well, Vanilla Ice is actually in the campaign. He is actually in the campaign.
Perfect. All right.
Yes.
I'm happy about it.
Or he will be. So Ishan, tell us about our next one.
All right. So coming in at number 3, it's a campaign for Petco, which, if you didn't know, is a health and wellness brand. But let's take a look.
Did you know that Petco is now a health and wellness company? I believe you're the only one who doesn't know that, Avery.
Their groomers work wonders for my confidence.
I trust their vets, and I'm known to have trust issues.
Might I add, their high-quality food delivered same day? It's given me life. You should see me pounce.
Stop sniffing me.
I was outside digging. What'd I miss?
Oh, nothing. Just our physical, social, and mental health cared for in one place.
Exciting. I'm gonna take a spin around the room.
Great idea.
Petco, the health and wellness company.
So there are several spots from Droga 5 doing Petco, and you can see the premise of all of them is they're people and they're talking, and then slowly it dawns on you, oh wait, they're dogs, right? So they're doing the things that we would want if we were pets, essentially. I love the slow build of these. You know, it starts off kind of like Downton Abbey, and then you're like, oh, I get it. That's cute. I get it.
Yeah, well, at what point did you guys realize that they were talking about pets?
Quite late on, I think.
Yeah, was it like when she sniffed the guy's shoulder?
Yeah, maybe, or the digging.
That was
yeah,
it, right.
but I feel like I've sniffed people at parties before.
TMI.
Yeah, when she says like I like the way they do my hair, I was like, this is a weird direction. Okay, and then there's another one where someone's like, oh, I love the way that like the food tastes, and I was just like, I don't know about that. I was getting like tuna from last week, vibes.
But what's cool about this is that they're operating on this insight that kind of has fueled a lot of pet advertising in, but before, a dog is your best friend. A dog is like a part of your family, but they're going all in with this whole, like, yeah, they really are like you. They are part of your family. They're just like us. I just like how they took that insight even further. And they're kind of repositioning the company itself as this 360-degree wholesome, healthy company for your pets, these members of your family.
Yeah, it's like they took that whole narrative about dogs looking like their owners or pets looking like their owners, and they kind of flipped it in some way, because that's often been used in ads, but they've kind of flipped it. So that actually, they are you.
Yeah. And they got Harold Einstein to direct of Dummy, and we know him for all the hilarious Little Caesars and kayak advertising out of Barton F. Graff from back in the day. So I thought that was a great choice for a director as well.
Do you think people will buy them being a health and wellness company?
Yeah, that's the one thing I was wondering. But I mean, do you guys have pets? I don't have a pet at this time, but just judging from the way some of my friends and family treat their pets, like I feel like it's targeting that market specifically, those owners specifically.
It feels tongue-in-cheek to me, being like, oh, we're a health and wellness brand. And it's sort of like, oh, everyone's a lifestyle brand now, and you keep hearing that. I mean, I could see like, Millennial and Gen Z's being like, oh, a health and wellness brand. It's like when people used to call Target Target, so that you felt a little fancier shopping there.
Yeah, and you could even lean into that a little bit more. I wonder if they will, like, going forward.
Dogs on treadmills.
Yeah, dogs on Pelotons.
Right. Co-branding. There you go.
Yeah. Anyway, more great work from Droga 5 for new client Petco. Alex, want to tell us about our next one?
Yeah, so at number 2, it's KFC again. And I don't know if people remember, but this time last year when COVID was all kicking off, they had some rather disastrous timing with a campaign they were running in the UK using the long-running slogan, finger licking good. And it was all these huge ads, huge billboards everywhere with people licking their fingers. I think there was a TV spot as well, and just like really, really bad timing at a time when we're all supposed to be super aware of hygiene. So they've had various attempts over the past year of kind of making fun of the fact that they did that and kind of leaning into it. And this is another one. They are basically using the fact that they still can't use the finger licking good slogan, and they decided to try on some other companies' well-known taglines for size, like Nike, just do it, L'Oreal, because you're worth it, McDonald's, I'm loving it. I mean, there were lots and lots of them. And it's supposed to be reminding you that they're still on pause with that finger licking good slogan. Although I do wonder if the time is ever going to be right to bring it back. I don't know what you guys think about that.
I think one day there will be. Like, it'll just be all like, you know, when the world's okay, everybody be licking their hands, licking other people's fingers. I don't know.
The other quick anecdote. The other day, I was bringing in the groceries, and I just had this sudden urge to just like lick something, like a package of something, right? Because it's been a year, and I can't do anything, you know. And it's not like I would even have done that before. I'm just like, just let me be free, you know.
Between Anne sniffing people at parties and this information, I'm not sure I want to come back to this show again.
EJ, it'd be nice to see you in the office.
But wait, so is this okay to use these logos?
I think they did it for 48 hours. So I think the idea was we're just trying them on. They're not like making a big thing. Although they did have some outdoor things where they were driving past the Nike store in London with a big mobile billboard. I think we've got a picture of it somewhere. So it was kind of slight element of trolling, but I don't think that they've had any complaints.
Are there any copyright issues with using other brands' slogans? EJ, do you know if?
I think it could be considered a spoof. I think the other brands, I mean, nothing's demeaning about it, right? Probably good press.
They said they were paying homage to these brands because they're so good. So I guess they can get away with it for that reason.
Yeah.
Does it make you feel a bit like so many of these slogans are interchangeable? Because you're always like, oh yeah, you really connect that brand with that tagline, and then like, you know, you just put it in front of a different picture and you're like, oh, that fits too. That was a good one as well.
Wow, I could see somebody doing that, like a design student screwing with people's heads and doing that with other brands. But yeah, that's a good point. It kind of reminds me, remember when Adidas and TBWA were promoting the Billie Jean King shoe, and they spray painted other brands to look like the Billie Jean King shoe, like Nikes and Converse, with blue and then white stripes. Kind of reminds me of that a little bit. But speaking of shoes, there was some big shoe news this year having to do with Nike and Lil Nas X. EJ, do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Right. The Lil Nas X partnered with the streetwear company Mischief, and they released a Satan shoe right in the middle of Easter season. And it apparently comes with real human blood. And so Nike didn't, speaking of sort of brands not liking how other people treat their brands, Nike didn't like this. And so they filed a lawsuit for trademark infringement. And it, as our colleague Adrian Pasquarelli wrote on Ad Age this week, it points out this trend called upcycling, which is essentially when artists put their own spin on products to make, and a lot of times it creates a lot of buzz and it's very positive for a brand. In this case, Nike drew the line and was concerned about sort of getting a bad rap for this with probably certain segments of the population. And so they filed a lawsuit and, said, you can't do this. And, it's a kind of a rare case of this where a company, it's just companies just trying to stop something from going viral, essentially, right?
Yeah, and it is interesting where Nike will draw the line. I mean, there's so much of this going on in footwear or in sneaker culture. Like even Nike itself allows you to customize shoes on its site. Like you could probably make your own version of the Satan shoe, like with Nike's own tools. I don't know. I haven't gone so far as to test that out, but it's interesting. And I think prior to this, Mischief had also had a Jesus shoe. And
with holy water injected instead of blood.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
I think the Satanic Temple is going to have something to say about this lawsuit. I mean, amicus brief.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I gave up human blood for Lent, so I wasn't able to pick up one of the 666 pairs. But so can we be just very clear here? So these are Nike shoes that they added onto afterward, right? These aren't shoes that they made wholesale and then put a Nike logo on, right?
Yeah.
They are
Right.
Nike Air Max shoes.
Right. So like, how is like to your point? How is this different from customizing a regular Nike shoe? How is this different from like a car kit?
Well, they were selling it for like $1,500 or something, weren't they? So they made a lot of money from it. Anyway, it all sold out straight away. So in a way, Nike doing a lawsuit is a kind of a bit late because it happened. It's gone. They sold 666 pairs.
And it also brings more attention to it and might actually keep it in the news, which, who knows? Maybe that's actually good for the brand.
Yeah. It's also a good move for Lil Nas X. He gets more attention for his song, his music video, which is totally out there. You guys should check that out. The one that was attached to this shoe. But yeah, so viewers, what do you guys think? Do you think the Satan shoe's okay or not? Let us know. But anyway, we have more shout outs. We have Sean from Missouri, Ralph from New York, Judith from Belize, Noelia from Peru, Maliha from Pakistan, Labna from Kuwait, and Christy from Georgia. We have such an international audience. I love it. Hey, guys. And speaking of big news, this, like we were talking about earlier, this was April Fool's week, and we had a big April Fool's story. EJ, tell us about that.
Right. Speaking of trying to get attention, Volkswagen on Monday put out a what appeared to be a mistake press release saying they were changing their name in the U.S. to Volkswagen with an VOLTS to promote their line of electric vehicles. This release was sent out on Monday morning, and it was made to look like it was a mistake. There was like some language in there that said TK, which everyone knows stands for to come. It looked a little schlocky and a little stunty, and I don't think anyone necessarily believed it at first. We didn't here at that age. And then what happened is Volkswagen really leaned into this. They had some executives trumping the news on their Instagram accounts. They gave some financial news reporters, called them to see if this was true, like CNBC, even the Associated Press, USA Today. And these reporters were assured on background from presumably someone in Volkswagen's PR department that, yes, this was true. And so you had a ton of stories reporting this as true news. And then, actually, as an aside, Ad Age never reported it as true. But then it turns out they finally admitted it was a joke. And then suddenly they have a bunch of pissed off reporters because reporters don't want to be made look like fools, like no one does really. But it's especially bad when you're a reporter and you're reporting something that turns out to be fake. And so what we are left with now is deciding if this worked or not, just as a marketing exercise, because you could look at it a couple ways. It got a ton of headlines. It did get the word out that Volkswagen is in the electric vehicle business. Something looming in the background, though, and a lot of the reporting on this pointed out that this is Volkswagen, the same Volkswagen that a few years ago was caught cheating on their emissions testing, which was a huge scandal, cost them billions of dollars. So a lot of people are saying this just, again, is just another instance of them kind of ruining their credibility on a much lighter hearted scale, but still, you never run a lie about anything. So a lot of the coverage you're seeing is raising that issue, which I'm sure Volkswagen doesn't like. They don't want to remind folks about that emissions scandal. On the other hand, this is one I think we got to kind of separate and how is like the financial press reporting on this and how is this landing with real people. I actually interviewed a Volkswagen dealer in Amarillo, Texas, who said his phones were ringing off the hook from people interested in this, even when they thought it was real. He loved it, this guy. He runs the dealership. And he said their dealership is actually printing T-shirts and things, kind of playing into it. And they even changed some temporary signage in their store. And then yesterday, we might have a screenshot of this, just my own neighborhood here. There's a coffee shop, locally owned, that I noticed put something out on their Instagram feed, kind of playing into this joke, and they're calling themselves, they're normally called Backlot Coffee. It's a locally owned coffee shop, and said they're changing their name to Black Volt Coffee, and then they plug Volkswagen. And I checked with the agency behind this whole joke, which is Johannes Leonardo. I was like, are you guys out there pushing this kind of thing on Instagram? You know, I don't think this is truly organic, I think. So
wow.
If that's the goal, you could say this worked. But it's one of these things you got to balance it with, okay, you damage your relationship potentially with some financial reporters, which is never good. What do you guys think?
I mean, well, what did you first think when you saw the news? Like, it smells of an April Fool's joke, doesn't it? Like, especially during a week where we're all, like, our sensors are out, like, expecting these things to happen.
So, I mean, maybe Volkswagen was like, no one will actually fall for this.
Yeah.
But
yeah, although, I mean, I'm pretty old school when it comes to April Fools. And in my book, it has to be on the 1st of April before 12 noon. I don't get all this thing about bringing it out 3 days before, because that just makes things
like the Super Bowl. April Fool's teasers.
Right. Like there's no April Fool's season. To your point.
Well, maybe there is now. Maybe it's like the Christmas ads coming out on the 1st of November. Maybe April Fools can begin on the 27th of March or something.
I feel like if you look very specifically at like what happened, like whether Volkswagen is changing his name or not, like EJ, you said it's kind of lighthearted, whatever, right? But the context of it, if you take one step back, like now everyone is reminded about the emissions scandal. They don't want that, but every reporter who mentioned this, even if they weren't taken in by it, mentioned the emissions scandal because like they were caught lying to the entire world a few years ago. But then even that, like we're in the era of fake news, and I feel like you just don't want to be in a position where you lie to the press because you think like, oh, it's a joke and it doesn't really matter, because all of it really matters.
Yeah, they're going to lose a lot of
goodwill. Or does it? I mean, like to EJ's point about the dealer, you know, regular old people came off the street interested in what's going on, and they know that Volkswagen has electric vehicles now. Like
could they have gotten that with just like a short-term rebrand that they just pitched normally, you know? Like, hey, we're going to be Volkswagen. I mean, you know, rather than being like, we're changing our name and it's official forever, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm coming off vacation. I see this. I'm like, what's the big deal? Yeah. So I don't know.
think it's to a case of not everyone necessarily being on this. Like, I don't think it was part of the plan for them to lean into this to this degree. And I think someone inside Volkswagen took it a little too far. To me, it's a lesson in making sure everyone's on the same page. You know, it's like, we're going to push this far, but if you get called about this, just kind of play coy, say no comment. I think the fact that what pissed off a lot of people, reporters, is that they took that extra step and confirmed it. Had they not done that, they may have had it out there enough that it still would have gotten the positive buzz, but not the backlash.
Yeah, I mean, if they put it out on the 1st of April and everyone had believed it for like 4 hours, I think it could have still had some impact. But they wouldn't have needed to lie.
I think even if they put it on Monday and it feels too early and people are calling them, you just do the whole like, we can neither confirm nor deny, wink, wink. And then like everyone gets that it's a joke, but like everyone's still going to report it as like, it's probably a joke, but who knows, you know? And then they would have gotten the same buzz.
Anyway, TBD, what happens to Volkswagen, the electric vehicle sales? I guess we'll keep an eye out on that. But there was one thing that wasn't a joke, right, Alex, that we saw this week?
Yeah, so I was, after the whole VW thing, a lot of things that came into my inbox I was suspicious of. And you know, there's a lot of weird stories that you get anyway about weird products. We talk about them on this show quite a lot. But I was literally suspicious of everything this week. So I was emailing a lot of people back saying, is this for real or is it an April Fool's? And this was one that I thought was probably an April Fool's, but I wasn't quite sure. And it turned out to kind of half and half be. So it's Duolingo, the language learning app. They had an idea of printing language phrases on toilet paper. And this was apparently an April Fool's idea originally, but then they thought it was such a good idea, they decided to actually make it for real. And it is being installed into something like 18 WeWork bathrooms in China.
Wait, in WeWork bathrooms?
Yeah, in bathrooms at WeWork offices.
Okay, that seems kind of weird. Like, okay, people are going to be just sitting in the bathroom trying to learn.
Well, it's like downtime, isn't it? You're sitting there, you've got nothing to do. You take a sheet, you read it, you might learn something new.
But you take a sheet. You take a sheet. You said sheet, right?
Talk about bad for the environment. You're like, I just keep learning and learning.
I mean, it's funny, but I guess it could be useful.
As long as you flush with cold water, it's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, is this a lesson for Volkswagen here, where like you could make all of your problems disappear if you just commit to the joke and actually change your name to Volkswagen, and then everyone would have been right.
Yeah, then all would be forgiven, right?
Anyway, that was a cool idea from Duolingo. And so for our final item, Ishan, can you tell us about that?
Yes. All right. So back to the official actual top 5. And at number 1, 85% of school drama productions have been canceled in the last year due to the pandemic. And I think one thing that we have seen from production companies and agencies who can't physically get together to shoot is that they've turned to animation, CGI, or traditional animation. And this is a nice campaign for Cox Communication that sort of puts those two things together in a really sweet way. So let's take a look.
I've never done anything like this, so hopefully you guys think this is as cool as I do. I think this is really different and weird and awesome. Hands up if you're ready to start. Top of the page, we're starting again. The director approaches a sheepish mouse.
I'm not going out there. There's like 1,000 people, maybe 1 billion.
Yeah, I think that works great. Fairy godmother swings by.
Logan, if you drop me, I am so breaking up with you.
Something that was really clear in talking to all the kids at Thurman White Middle School was that their friendships, their social existence is entirely born out of being creative with other people. And there you are.
That's cool. I love that. That's me. I'm cute. I'm a cartoon now.
When you're not looking at it, there's nothing. But when I look, the little face appears. Hi, how are you?
Not helping. Not helping.
He still hasn't figured out how to get me into play. Like that?
That's great.
Don't worry, Gracie. The curtain only goes up when we all have a part to play.
I believe in you, Terrence.
The cartoon was just so cool.
There's like 1,000 people, maybe 1 billion.
Pretend everyone in the audience is in their underwear and you'll be fine.
My parents are in the audience.
I think that the most fun part of it was that it was like a community, so everyone got to experience these things together, and we can all look back and say, like, this was what we did together.
It seems almost impossible to have that all converge together into one beautiful performance, but through the magic of these technologies and animation, we're actually able to make that happen, and it's super wonderful to see come together.
2 minutes till showtime.
So this is a real middle school. They're making a real animated film. They brought in, it's by agency 180 LA, as the director is Patrick Osborne of Nexus. They worked with the kids, and as you can see, like, they took the play that they were gonna do and then have actually animated into a CGI film that will debut Mother's Day, I think kind of appropriately. And like the at-home tech that they have available, like essentially like facial mocap, is amazing. Honestly,
yeah,
like this is the kind of stuff that it took weeks to do when they were filming Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, that was fantastic. That's what drew me the most, how the access that the kids had to this technology. It just made it seem so easy, and I wonder if they could even scale this further. This was such a great idea to take this framework that we've seen during the pandemic, this like virtual production that we've seen manifest in like spots with Zoom screens and these grid formations, but actually turn it into a full film, like a beautiful animated film. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, it's such a lovely idea, and just really helping a certain community as well, that so many people have been affected by the pandemic, but this is the first campaign I've seen that's looked at these sort of creative kids who want to be able to perform, whether it's drama or music, and they haven't been able to do it, and it's such a shame. And I felt really strongly about this because I've got a kid who's really into drama, and he's missed it so much. And I've heard them having like drama lessons on Zoom, and it just doesn't really cut it. But this is a whole new thing for them, and it's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I can imagine like kids like your son's Alex thinking, "Oh, I wish we could do that." The one thing is like,
I wish their school had done it.
Yeah, like, will this make other kids jealous? And could Cox just bring it further and enable other schools to have this technology? That would be amazing if they did.
How much do you guys think Cox benefits from this, from a branding perspective? Like, it's very subtle, right? Is it?
Yeah, it is.
I think it's part of a sort of ongoing campaign they've got about connections. There was another spot where they were talking about seniors feeling more connected. I think we read about that one. So it does kind of fit into a campaign idea.
And the feel goodiness, I think, isn't it usually typical for cable companies, because they're among the most hated companies in the entire country.
But yeah, we threw up a QR code. We'll bring it back if you guys want to snap that, and that will take you directly to all the work that we talked about today. But yeah, just another fantastic idea from 180 LA. And thank you, EJ, for joining us this week and sharing your insight. It was awesome. And thanks again, Alex and Ishan, and our team in the back, Alfred Mascaroni, Max Sternlick, and Anna Sakula, and Eilis Lefring on social. And thank you all to our audience for joining us, and happy Passover, happy Easter, or just have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.